like many retirees who are considering moving somewhere else, maybe for a cheaper cost of living in retirement? Well, if you are, check out this awesome video. I'm Ryan Wheless, host of the On the Money YouTube channel powered by Allied Wealth. If you like the content we're putting out, give us a like down below. Also, hit the subscribe button, and we'll keep updating. We put out more content just like this. Yeah, so we hear it a lot, folks, but people come to us and say, you know, Ryan, we live here in I don't know, Washington, D.C., and we're going to consider moving over to Knoxville, Tennessee, because we hear the cost of living is much lower. And it happens a lot, folks, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, early in my career, I remember these brave people. I thought they were nuts, by the way. They were behind the 8 ball for retirement. She'd had some illnesses, couldn't work. The husband had some illnesses, couldn't work. And they had saved a reasonable amount of money, but they knew they couldn't make it here in the States. And ultimately, they wound up moving to Ecuador. And they live like kings on their Social Security in Ecuador, and they absolutely love it. And what's really interesting about that is their health over the years, I've kept in contact with them, has actually improved, all right? So if that's you, you're thinking about moving, watch this video. So let's look at this retired couple, we'll call them Bob and Ann. Hypothetical example here, folks. They're both age 60. They are rich, and the reason why I say they're rich is because they're in good health. And we believe very strongly at Allied Wealth that health is, in fact, wealth, all right? They want to retire in 3 years. Their goal is to maintain their lifestyle in retirement, just like most of us do, all right? And they're considering moving to a new place with a lower cost, lower standard of living, all right? So that's their information there, and let's pull up their numbers, okay? So Bob and Ann, they've saved $1 million in retirement funds, and the funds are currently allocated 70% stocks, 30% bonds. You know, that's a little more risky than we like to see, but hey, if they're healthy and going to live a long life, that might be the proper allocation for them, all right? They are adding savings of $100,000 per year, which means they're going to keep saving money over the next couple of years. The home is paid for, valued at $500,000, and that's goofy written up there. The formatting on the screen gets different from my computer sometimes. So nonetheless, their home is paid for, and they're valued at $500,000, all right? So, you know, you look at overall, basically they're going to have the $1 billion they have now. They're going to save for retirement 3 more years, another $300,000. They'll have at least $1.3 million plus the value of their home. So they're in reasonably good shape, all right? So let's look at their current situation, all right? And their current situation would be that they stay where they are, stay in the current home, and their expenses in their current location are $80,000 a year. All right, well, what we did is we ran their portfolio through 1,000 different market scenarios. We call it a Monte Carlo simulation. And what we found is at the low end of the market, so a below average market, all right, these folks have $2.3 million left over, and they have a 670, in a best case scenario, okay? And in a worst case scenario, excuse me, in a middle of the road scenario, they got $2.3 million left over. In a worst case scenario, they got $670,000. I don't like to see a worst case scenario with $670,000. It's too big of a deficiency in retirement income, and there needs to be some changes that need to be made. One of the things we can do to make some changes here to get this number higher is they could work longer and save more money, or they could spend less, which is exactly what we're trying to help them do, because they do want to retire in 3 years and they don't want to work anymore, all right? So we consider having them move to another location. What happens here is that because the expenses are lower, their expenses now are only $64,000 a year. And they're only $64,000 a year because where they're moving to, for instance, in this case, we'll use Knoxville, Tennessee as an example, to have the same standard of living where they currently are, they need $80,000 a year. If they move to Knoxville, they only need $64,000 a year. Well, we just talked about getting that probability of success higher, which we did strong here, okay? And we got it higher because we're spending less money. And we're spending less money because we relocated, all right? So to that end, if you look at their portfolio assets, this is a bad market scenario here, all right? Meaning this is a below average market performance scenario. And in this scenario, they leave behind $3.4 million, and their bad case scenario is, absolute worst case scenario, is $152,000 according to the simulation to the negative. This makes me more comfortable than seeing the other page where we saw the scenario to where they were $670,000 upside down in their later on in life, in their older years of like 95, 96 years of age. All right, so that's what we like to do, is to get that probability of success from moderate to higher and get that $670,000 number higher as well. And that's what we do with good planning at Allied Wealth, all right? So in this scenario, we get them to $64,000 a year in income, lower income, because their standard of living will maintain the same standard of living level they are now, but will be cheaper to do at another location. And in this scenario, in their worst case scenario here, they get $3.4 million of assets left over and only $150,000 of deficiency. That's way better than minus 670, all right? Now, one of the things that's interesting about this too is that this is an above average market, all right? Now folks, I often tell people the sun, moon, and stars have to align for this to happen. This means the market was above average through the entire life cycle of their retirement, and they could wind up with $8 million to the upside and $3.6 million to the downside. You know, folks, I don't look at that number very often. I always focus on this number. If we're comfortable with this situation right here, we say at Allied Wealth, this plan will work and that dog will hunt, all right? And also, because they're spending less money, we get their probability of success from moderate up to a strong probability of success. So the video is designed to get you thinking. And if we're thinking about moving and looking at lowering standard of living, one of the best things you can do, lowering cost, we don't want to lower standard of living, we want to lower cost of standard of living. If we can get those costs down, one of the best things we can do to make your money last longer is reduce expenses, all right? And if you can reduce expenses by moving somewhere else and you maintain the same standard of living that you have, that's an awesome scenario, all right? Because your money will go further and it's pretty awesome to be able to do and enjoy life, all right? So folks, pretty awesome thing to talk about living in retirement. If it's something you want to do, sit down and talk with a good planner who can walk through this stuff, but know your numbers. Know your current cost of living and know what the cost of living will be where you're going to go so you can find out if your standard of living can be maintained for a lesser dollar amount per year. Thanks so much for watching the video. I'm Ryan Wheless, host of the On the Money YouTube channel.